Good morning, welcome to EduSet Network. Friend, as you know, today we have lecture on HRM, Human Resource Management. We will talk about the areas of human resource management, team making, and how we can best use the resources for the team making, and we'll discuss the different element, different aspect of the team making and working of the team. And for discussion on this very topic, we have in the studio eminent faculty, Professor Anu Singh Lathar. She has long experience of teaching, a known name in the management education, and presently she is a Dean University School of Management Study in Guru Gobind Singh in Puras University, known university. You know, it's a very short span of time has created his own niche in education field. So, and I would like to also tell that Professor Anu Singh Lathar has research, large number of research, about 150 research papers published in different national international journals, and her area of in consultancy and giving training to various PSU and and also MNC multinational company, and she has been regularly been awarded for best research researcher award from the University of IP University regularly for 3 years, and also from the national university like Debrecen University, Hungary, Slovak University, and she had done a lot of work in the area of research and management teaching of HRM, human resource management. So I think her knowledge and experience will help us to understand this topic and give insight how to study the human resource management, and especially in today's lecture we will come to know about the team making. So on her behalf, I welcome for the EduSet lecture on this very topic. Welcome, ma'am.
Good morning. Welcome to all of you too. Human resource management has been conventionally there for so long, but then the understanding at the level of micro level of human potential and how people can be managed and how they can work very effectively and efficiently in teams is what human resource professionals are today looking for. So we are going to discuss about how teams are created and why suddenly there is so much hue and cry about team creation, team building, how do we raise passionate teams, how do we retain people in teams, and does it really make a difference? Why suddenly there is so much discussion on this at all levels in industry? I'd like to show you some slides. What worked yesterday won't work today. And what does it mean? It means that yesterday natural resources were defining the power in terms of the business model, power in terms of the commercial ventures, power in terms of how people or how nations made their niche. Natural resources were very, very important in older times. But today, because we know the society has become a knowledge society and knowledge creation has become the way of life for the business also. So today knowledge is a very powerful tool. So nations which are creating human resources who are knowledgeable, who have skills, and who are creating a niche for themselves in the areas of their research, in the areas of their knowledge creation, have become very, very important and powerful. In older times, organizations were actually only focusing on the top management directing people to work in a certain direction, and hierarchy was very fixed. What was the vision and thought process and opinion and the thinking of the top management was very important. So it penetrated right from the top to the bottom. So hierarchies were very fixed. My boss has asked me to do something, so I'll only perform at the level of what my boss wanted me to do. But today, as I said, the workforce is become very powerful. So synergy is the mandate for today. Synergy means working together in teams, working together as a group, and for that we need to understand each and every member of a team who becomes so very essential and important to contribute. Olden times, yesterday's leaders commanded and controlled, because that was the time when human resource potential was not realized, human resource quality was not that greatly enhanced in society. So there were few people in society who were equipped with handling people, so they became the leaders. So they would command, they would control, they would direct people to perform. But gone are the times and days when people can really be controlled today. So today leaders are empowering and coaching their human resources. When we say empowering and coaching, that means they are providing the opportunities to their juniors in the organization, their people in the organization to take decision at all levels, and also coach them, guide them, facilitate them, and be the mentors for them. Yesterday leaders were warriors. It is always that they were doing the firefighting work, because everything and the honors of doing business and running the organization was on them. So they all the time they were doing firefighting work. But today leaders are facilitators. They have taken the back seat, and the back seat is in terms of creating policies, in terms of bringing resources to the organization, but then they have handed over the baton of the organization to their juniors in the organization. So the leaders today have become facilitators, and they are facilitating their juniors to outperform and realize their own potential. Yesterday leaders demanded respect, and they were very egoist, and they were very particular about their juniors respecting them all the time. And there were organizations where people set in certain rules that how boss should be greeted, what power distance the boss could create, and even reaching to the boss's office was so very difficult. So today the bosses and the leaders, they do not believe in demanding respect, they believe in commanding respect. So they encourage the self-respect on the part of their juniors and their employees in the organization. So as a result, what has happened is that in order to raise this self-respect, the leaders have also come down believing that everybody in the organization is equal, and everybody should be given equal opportunity to take decision and perform. As I said, employees of the earlier times were taking orders, but today teams are making decision. Nobody can order people to perform. So it is the team or the group who work together and they take decision. Individual decisions today are discouraged. Walmart, as you know, is the company dealing in the retail, and today it has more than 600 self-managed teams with no leader, no supervisor, and no manager to guide them or supervise them. They are self-managed, and they are also given the freedom to take a decision on raising the team. They are also given the freedom to have their own members in the team, and also to design the work they choose for themselves. And these self-managing teams are not monitored by anybody. But we have seen that Walmart has created a history. It has shown to the world that how organizations can work without supervisors and managers in the world. Not a very good example to quote for the business context, but I still feel that Osama bin Laden gave the exemplary output of virtual teams he could create. Although his goals were not for the societal welfare, but look at him, the way he could control people all across, and it speaks volumes about how people, when they are empowered, can together generate the power of delivery in the organizations. Keeping all this in mind, when we look at how human resource has finally been, their potential has been realized only by way of directly understanding their role in the organization and how to enhance their potential and bring them up to that level. I'll also like to show you a very interesting very interesting case where we can relate it to the Indian context. Once there was a race. Once upon a time there was an Indian rowing team. India and Japan agreed to do an annual rowing race. Each team should contain 8 men. This is what was decided. Both teams worked really hard to get in the best shape. The day the race started, both teams were in similar condition. The Japanese won by 1 mile. And they reached to the finish point. The mood in the Indian team was really close to the freeze point. The top management decided to win the race next year. So they established a team of analysts to observe the situation and recommend an appropriate solution that why Indian team could not win by 1 mile. So there was analysis and analysis and analysis and analysis. After several detailed analysis, the team found that the Japanese had 7 rowers and only 1 captain. So they were commanded by only 1 captain. Of course, the Indian team had 7 captains but only 1 rower. When you look at situation nearby and see in your own organizations, you find in India, we are suffering from a syndrome called alpha leadership syndrome, which means that we all believe that we are all leaders, we are all bosses, and we need to control people wherever we are. Even where our advices are not required, we tend to give advices to people. So it so happened that facing such critical scenario, the management showed an unexpected wisdom. They hired the consulting company to restructure the Indian team. Let's look what happened. So the consulting company was doing their work. After several months, the consultants came up with the conclusion that there were too many captains and too few rowers in the Indian team. A solution was proposed based on this analysis. The structure of the Indian team had to be changed. After all, the consultants were experts in their field, so they suggested. As of today, there will only be 4 captains in the team, led by 2 managers, 1 top manager and 1 rower. Besides that, they suggested to improve the rower's working environment and to give him higher competencies. Poor rower. So the team was recreated and team started working. Next year, the Japanese won by 2 miles. Earlier they had won by 1 mile, now they had won by 2 miles. And they reached to the finish point. The Indian team immediately displaced the rower from the team based on his unsatisfactory performance. Poor guy. But the bonus award was paid to the management for the strong motivation the team showed during the preparation phase. The consulting company prepared a new analysis because they were after all hired for the job, which showed that the strategy was good, the motivation was okay, but the used tool has to be improved. Just look at the analysis they have done. Currently, the Indian team is designing a new boat. Now, the lesson which we draw from these small cases here is that are we only talking about the human resource management in context to international scenario? When it comes to the Indian context, I find even in the private sector, people have not learned to create human resources and give them the opportunity to realize their potential and express themselves to fully to their satisfaction. There is so much bureaucratic details and bureaucratic structures even in the private organization. It is almost so very difficult to change the mindset of people to perform at that level. Let me make you little aware of various types and stages of team building, because probably that will help you to understand that what kind of teams do exist in the world and how can we create and transform these teams from the work group level to the level of performing at the team level, because groups and teams are definitely not similar. So the basic philosophy of teamwork is that any work assigned to anybody in the organization requires the input from others. It requires the human input from everybody. If we take the advice, if we take the guidance, if we consult people and polish on our decision, we are likely to deliver in a better manner. That's why we say that that humans, when they work together in teams, their output is not additive, their output is multiplicative. It will give result. So all work is teamwork. Anything worth doing is worth measuring too. Be your own toughest competitor when you are performing in teams. In private sector, because we know we are looking at the business model, and we are looking at the business model where we need to even look at the time frame and the profits and the wealth creation at that level. So we need also to understand that once we have performed at a certain level, the next time I have to benchmark against my own performance. I am of course benchmarking against others, but yes, I set my own benchmark so that I can take up the next level. A team is a small number of people who share complementary competencies, and these are in the form of the abilities, the skills and the knowledge they have. They are committed to the common performance or the common goals of the organization into a working relationship. When I say working relationship is more than the functional relationship, and working relationship is also creating that very great bonding amongst each other, for which they hold themselves mutually accountable. And the people working in groups do understand that they are working towards the common goal, and everyone, as in case of Walmart, when we say that they do not have any leader, any supervisor, any manager to control them, they have mutually accepted that it is their job to finish the task. So there are many types of teams when we look at them from the government sector to the private sector. There are functional type of teams, there are problem solving teams, there are cross functional teams, there are self managing teams, there are virtual teams, there are self directed work teams, there are quality circles. Then there are skunk works and informal groups which exist and work together. The functional teams are very conventionally there when we say in every organization. When we divide the organizations into different divisions, like we would have an HR department, we'll have a marketing department, we'll have the production department, we'll have the finance department, we'll have the PR department, then we'll have so many departments, and the staff and the line function in any organization is based upon the functional management of the areas of expertise, and these are functional areas. Each department and unit and division which takes care of that specialized kind of job for them, they also create these specialized teams and specialized human resources. We would like to recruit and hire people who are expert in the area. So once we are recruiting somebody in a team for the HR division, we ensure the members are trained in that area and they have the right kind of expertise to handle the job. So these are the functional teams we create in the organization. Then we have problem solving teams. Problem solving teams may not be of permanent nature, They may be created as and when the problem arises in the organization. They address the problem areas in the organization. Managers delegate certain problems and decision making responsibilities to the teams they believe can perform. So generally highly performing teams with a required requisite expertise are the members are drawn from those teams to create the problem solving teams. As I said, that problem solving teams are not regular teams. They may be created only as and when the problem arises. So the team members are also by and large senior and people who have the expertise and who have the right kind of skills to handle that problem situation. Next, we talk about cross-functional teams. These teams draw members from several specialities or functions which are lined up in the organization and deal with problems that cut across departmental and functional lines. Some cross-functional teams operate on a continuing basis, others disband after their goals are achieved. When we talk about cross-functional teams, generally, typically in a private sector, in a multinational companies, cross-functional teams, teams from the production side when they are meeting, the teams from the finance side and the teams from the HR department is meeting the production department. These are the cross-functional kind of teams which get created. Some organization will have such teams on permanent basis and other organizations may have such teams on they may be created for a certain job and then get disbanded. I like to give you an example of Boeing 777 jetliner. Boeing 777 jetliner had hundreds of integrated design build teams, multiples of them. Their members were drawn from diverse functional areas such as marketing, finance, engineering and information systems. Each team focused on specific plane component. Some of them were working for tail section, others were working for wing section, still others were working for electrical systems of the aircraft being created. Just look at how people who have been drawn from different specialty areas to create an aircraft. We are talking about self-managing teams now. Self-managing teams are those teams, as I said earlier, that Walmart is a company which started with which experimented with their human resources and they had the confidence. Sam Walton, who is the owner of the company called Walmart, he believed that everyone, every human resource who is given respect and autonomy and freedom to take decision will perform. Of course, there would be rules of the game and he defined the rules of the game for his own people in a beautiful manner. He is a very powerful leader and so he could actually direct and control his own human resources and create a new concept in the world called self-managing teams. They are very powerful teams because when we are not supervised, when there is nobody to check, we become self-accountable, and when we become self-accountable, we become very powerful. So this also is encouraging the flatter structure in organization. Flatter structure would mean that I don't need to take orders from my seniors. I plan my life at workplace, I plan my life at my personal end, and I try to maintain the work-life balance, and that also helps you becoming very comfortable in your personal life. These teams are self-enforcing and self-directing, so that's why they are very, very powerful. Next is the virtual teams. The younger generation understands the importance of virtual teams because they are actually connected and they are IT savvy, all of them, and they know how through social media and how through internet the younger generation has exploited all the potential of the technology at hand. And same way the businesses are also experimenting with virtual teams, and these are the these could be functional, problem solving, cross functional, and even self managing teams, and they can be put together in the virtual world where people are not meeting each other ever in their life, but they are connected to each other through the internet, through the computers, through the technology, and discussing the problems and issues of their organization. So geographically, in virtual type of teams, people do not meet, they don't see each other. Some member of the team is sitting in India, the other member of the team is sitting in China, still other member of the team may be sitting in US or in far location in Sri Lanka. So the virtual teams are actually connected to each other through technology, and in today's modern technological driven society, virtual teams have become very, very important, and they have taken almost very effectively, because it's very time saving to work together virtually through internet and technology. I've already talked about self-managing teams, and self-directed work teams are same way, of the same nature. We'll only say that self-managing have been given more freedom than self-directed. The next type of teams which have come up as a result of Japanese understanding of the quality. We know that Japanese are the ones who focused on improving the quality of human resources, and they are the ones who introduce a lot of innovation to improve the quality of workforce. So they started with a concept called quality circles, and quality circles is, they call it as QCs, and these are the teams being raised at all levels of decision making, at all levels of business performance. At the shop floor level, there are quality circle teams, and they would generally be, the members would be from 6 to 8 in size. They are smaller size, who meet regularly to identify the quality and productivity problems, propose solution to the management about those problems, and monitor the implementation and consequences of these solutions in their work areas. So quality circles, the Japanese gave the model as a result of Kaizen, and they believe that these are very powerful, and the world has taken lessons from them. We have the QC movement even in India, and a very powerful forum called Quality Circle Forum of India, QCFI, and a lot of multinational companies and even government organizations are becoming members of this forum. Then the next is the skunk works. Cross-functional teams that are usually formed spontaneously to develop products or solve complex problems, and usually in isolation from the organization and without the normal restrictions, are the skunk works. They are not the areas which have problems, but they are the areas where people would like to experiment, would like to innovate, would like to invent, or would like to try on something which is new. So these kind of teams come up to experiment with things, particularly in the production side of the organization, because in the production people are given a lot of freedom to express their creativity. Human resources are managed for their creativity in the organization. It is through these kind of teamwork. Informal groups, of course, we know the power of informal groups in any organization. We've all understood. You must all be members of some clubs, some associations, or some professional bodies or some committees. Informal groups in any organizations are very powerful teams. They may not have been formed by the formal channels, but they become very powerful because they carry the subculture in the organization. Organization carries its own culture, but informal groups, when they are raised, they may be based on maybe the common interest of people, such as people who are music lovers, they form a group of their own. People who are painting, maybe they form a group of their own. People who come from a certain regional area, somebody coming from Punjab, they may club together to form a group of their own. And when these kind of groups are raised, they start working together in a certain fashion, in a certain manner, on the basis of their own interests. They equally contribute to the organization's culture and organization's growth. A good culture in any organization will acknowledge the importance and the existence of these groups so that they can be transformed into teams for the organization goals. Sometimes these informal groups, as I said, they become very strong groups to create grapevine in the organization. They are also the epicenter of the gossips and rumors in the organization. But they are also very healthy in the sense that they vent out the feelings of the employees and they help in venting out, and this is also one of the very important sources for the top management to understand what do the employees want. I thought I'll quickly talk about the stages of creating teams in any organization. We have the stage called forming stage, the next is the storming stage, then the norming stage, the performing stage, and adjourning stage in any organization. So forming stage is essentially the first orientation phase to task the people and put them together. Team members must focus on defining and understanding the goals and developing procedures. As I said, in case of Walmart, team members are given freedom to identify their own team goals. Leadership and member roles are also defined at this stage, and initial entry of members to a group is also defined. Somebody may say that I would not like to work with a certain member due to conflict of interest. That is also taken care of in multinational companies. So forming stage is when people are just coming up together for an orientation towards what they are meant to be together. Now the members' concern here would be getting to know each other, discovering what is considered acceptable behavior, determining the group's real task, and defining group rules and certain patterns to work together. This stage gets completed when members begin to think themselves as part of the group. The second stage is the forming stage. Forming stage has the behavioral dynamics to it. The forming stage has its own behavioral dynamics. Initial confusion of roles by the members is there. Members keep their feelings tied to themselves. They do not know what is going to happen. So as a team leader, what do? As a team leader, you try to size up the personal benefits than personal tasks being involved in the organization. That means let members understand that how they are going to personally benefit when they are working in the teams. Then using polite and friendly tones in dealing with people is the thing and very important in handling human resources at this level. Creating friendly environment for them is the solution. The second stage is the storming stage. When we say storming stage, there is a storm and people are, they have all kind of conflict and they have counter dependence. There are bids for power. there is competition, there is rationalization, there is apprehension, there is close-mindedness, there are conflicts and hostility, cliques are formed, there are hidden agendas of the people, emotions run very high, then people may resolve issues by vote, or then they start delegating the task to each other, and the storm gets settled gradually. There are certain behavioral dynamics of this stage. People are hostile with strong feelings to each other. They feel that others are favored and they are less favored. There is a competition over the leadership issue. Who should be the leader in the team? Then there are conflict over the goals. I may not be able to do all the work myself, so let others take over. Other member has done the lesser work and I am doing the more work. Some members may withdraw to resolve themselves, creating an emotionally charged situation for everybody. In such a situation, what should a leader do? A leader must manage conflict and not suppress them, and not ask the members to hold their feelings. Then suppressing conflict will only create bitterness and resentment, and withdrawal may cause the failure of the team members. Then the norming stage. Norming stage, we know that the norms of the team have to be created. Independent and constructive issues come up. There is a lot of listening. Members have become patient by now. Then creativity, role identity, leaders become open and free flow of ideas are there. There is a sense of belongingness, and the members have decided to work together cohesively. The behavioral dynamics of this stage are that lot of deliberations and compromise, because some members have understood and they know their clear roles. Then what does the leader do in such a stage? He should encourage cooperation, and he should encourage friendly environment in the team. He should empathize with everybody. He should show concern for the concern of every member, and then give positive expression of feeling for everybody in the team. Next is the performing stage. Performing stage is finally when you have decided to deliver. The team has a high morale now because they have already started delivering. There are intense loyalty towards each other. There are individual creative expressions. Some members have become very enthusiastic, they start contributing. Then disagreement comes up, but then it is okay. People have learned to accept each other. Then there are no cliques. Finally, people know that we have to work together. So there is an emotional bonding amongst the members. Adopting and identifying symbols and feeling very proud of the team's work is the feeling. Challenge is to improve relationship and performance both, and people start bonding with each other more closely. Then there is an equality of facilitation. If somebody is not able to deliver, there are others to help out. Interdependence has gone more and more intense, and task focus and people orientation have become more rigorous. Again, there are behavioral dynamics at the performing stage. Members are cohesive and learn to work independently and in groups, and have become more productive and have become more cohesive. Some teams continue to learn and develop from the experience, becoming more efficient and effective for future. Other teams, especially that develop norms not fully supportive of efficiency and effectiveness, may perform only at the level needed for the survival, and they disband. What do we recommend to the leaders and the team members at this stage? Do not encourage excessive self-oriented behaviors, stringent norms that will inhibit effective and efficient task completion, and reward and give reinforcement to the people who are doing good job in the team. Next is the adjourning stage. The adjourning stage is the task is completed and the teams are ready to disband. Profits are shared, emotional relations are strengthened. Now they need to terminate as a team because team has performed. there is a disengagement from the task, task is over. Say it is a time to say goodbye to each other. Task performance is no more a priority. A well integrated group is able to disband when its work is finished, are willing to work together in future time, and many of them may decide to take up jobs which are important. At this stage, there are certain behavioral dynamics again, and these are a sense of satisfaction and achievement which occurs, sense of loss because teams are disengaging, the goals are achieved, then team members resign or realign. Those members who are emotionally less attached to the task or the people in the team, they resign and go, and others who have been very effective and powerful members of the group, they realign and they start working. As I told you earlier, that in Japanese model, quality circles are the teams which redefine themselves in terms of task, and almost throughout their life they try to work with the same team members. Relationships get redefined because some of them become very close. They may start calling each other that we are brothers, sisters, we are great friends. So this kind of behaviors are transformed once they have worked together. Then what is the recommendation to a team leader or team members at this stage is that you can identify sub teams in the team for future, because you know there are people who have bonded and who have delivered and who have the competence to deliver. So we take them for future work and future roles. Then redesign the jobs for the same team if they are a highly performing team can be done. Then reassigning jobs to the team, maybe same job again to be repeated. Then dropping the problem members in the organization, working with them with their problem areas and coming back with them next time. Teamwork is either a relay race where A hands over the baton to B and B to C and finally to Z, the victory with best of the coordination and best of the efforts at the individual level leading to quantum force. Or the teamwork is like the pigeon's flight of unity to freedom. Remember that interpersonal relationships and sensitivity of myself and yourself has to be taken care of throughout these stages in team building. It's not easy to traverse the path reaching the goal in a team. So, what to do to ensure the team's effectiveness is $1 million question. Yeah.
Okay. So we have something more to really quickly just sum up so that we can conclude.
We can conclude. It's just to say that when we talk about human resource quality, this will essentially come at the micro level of training the employees and human resources at that level, because we have understood that everything cannot be achieved individually. We Indians are known to be very poor team players. You will be surprised to know that 11 members who created Microsoft Windows 95, 9 out of them were Indians, and one of them was the only one who was born and brought up in United States. Others came directly from our own schooling system, our own education system, and they created Windows, which you are using as operating system today. Do you know their names? We do not know their names because when they were working in teams, they worked more at the individual potential level than working as a team. The team got disbanded because they could not connect to each other emotionally to work in any future teams. So this is how human resource management has become a big challenge in the change scenario today. So we need to focus on the team creation and the raising passionate teams in every organization.
Okay. So, friends, it's a well explained and motivated lecture. I think it will help you to understand the spirit of team making and how the team making helps to reach the success, and you come to know. So, with this word, we conclude the lecture. I thank all of you for watching the lecture, and on your behalf, I thank Professor Anu Singh Lathar for giving such an insightful lecture on this very topic. Thank you very much.